I'd never do a deal or even submit an offer without seeing an income statement. So there's this one guy that keeps on asking me questions on Instagram about properties. And his question was, he's asking me about this property that is in Windsor, and he's barely giving me any info. He's like telling me the size, purchase price. Owners are telling him it's about $20,000 a week in revenue.
What?
And like, yeah, like not enough info. So I'm like, so I wrote back to him and I'm like, I wrote back, not enough info. I need the address, income statement, condition, etc. He didn't even give me the address. He gave me like the intersection of where it is, which is fine, whatever. And he said his real estate agent said the only time that they provide income statement after we put it in an offer.
Not true.
Well, it is true. And it'll be one of the conditions that has to be met. So you don't have to.
On every single one of the U.S. properties, they didn't share you an income statement like until you actually put in an offer or an LOI?
No, like they don't have to do anything.
Okay, so they don't have to, but
this is this specific property. I'm not talking about the U.S. shit.
Okay, yeah.
This is a guy from Windsor that's asking me advice on a property that he wants to buy.
Got it.
And he's saying, they're not providing him with an income statement. And this is a commercial property. This isn't like a residential even. This is more commercial.
Okay.
They're not providing him with an income statement until they have an offer in hand. So then I wrote back and I'm like, well, how the fuck are you supposed to make an offer?
Right.
Right? And he's like, well, they kind of gave me a rough idea of... like the net after mortgage and salary or whatever. That's what he put. I don't know what salary means, but so quickly, we don't have to belabor this. I would never do a deal or submit an LOI or an offer or anything without having an income statement in hand. The only time you ever really see that is like single family homes or like duplexes or whatever, where that stuff is very easy to, figure out. Okay, well, there's not going to be, for example, $1,000 in utility bills every month on a single family home, right? But you could be walking into a situation on a commercial residential building even, or especially a commercial retail, something along those lines of a building where you might have an income of $20,000 a month, which I think that's a fucking stretch for like the building. If the building's being offered at 1.1 and you have $20,000 in income a month, I feel like that's a pretty big stretch.
Yeah. And
you may be very well walking into a situation where, the expenses are egregiously high, especially if it's an older building. You don't know what kind of tenant is operating in there. They could be using, who knows what the tenant could be using, the tenant base could be using in terms of utilities.
I guarantee that this is not actually $20,000 a month of income. What they did was they took like, for example, a cost per square, or a like income per square foot based on comps, and they calculated it out and said, "Oh, here's the maximum amount that you could be getting."
Well, they
with the perfect tenant.
They did say that it's producing. That's what he said. So then I wrote back to him and I said I'd never do that. I'd never do a deal or even submit an offer without seeing an income statement. Sign a disclosure agreement or whatever.
Yeah,
and then. Also, if your agent is advising you to still do it without that info, fire your fucking agent. Goodbye.
Yeah.